One of the most helpful tools that I explored was using Google Forms to create an assessment. I kind of wanted to dive in and explore this one in depth so that I could use this to make my IEP data sheets electronic so that I didn't have to bring the papers back and forth all the time. That gets to be a really big headache, and you always risk losing the papers or whatever. So this way it's all stored right online, and I'll show you. I use Google Forms for it. It's free. I just needed a Google account. I already made a Google form. This was what I used for the other assignment for this class. So, and then I'll quick jump over and show you how to make a new one. This is one for an actual IEP goal for a student in my current classroom. And I've actually already put, and we'll look at the responses and I'll show you that I've already put her data in here. So I just copied and pasted her IEP goal right there so that it's the exact verbiage that's on her goal. And then this just kind of is basically would act as like the table of contents. So here's this is what is in this goal. So labeling numbers, quantifying, and then time on task during the SDI section. So from here, then goes down to section 2. Section 2 is just labeling the numbers. So if I were going to be inputting data, I could click on this. I could put the date in that I want. I'm not going to edit the form, but I could put the date in that I wanted. I think I just took that off. And then answer the question. So for this, I'd simply would show her like the number 1. Can she name it? Yes or no. So you would just check the box. Part 2 of this goal is she able to quantify? So again, you're going to put the date in when you do it. And then can she build that quantity? Yes or no. And then the last part is not actually something that's built into her goal. I just know that she's struggling really to focus. So I kind of built this in on my own just to track the time on task. And it basically just the time that instruction starts. And I know that her math instruction takes 10 minutes. So of that 10 minutes of instruction, how much time is she on task? And I would just select the number. So if we jump over to the responses, so I just put in one data point for this student. The last data point was on November 18th. So I'll take data again this next week when we go back to school, but we've been off of school for a whole week for spring break. So I did put her last data point in here, and it gives me a summary. So it shows that I've put in one data point for each of the goal areas. And then it shows me that, yes, she could name the number 1 and 2, but she was not able to name the rest of the letters. And it gives me a nice graph, which is nice. Does the same thing for numerals. She can name 1 and 2 for building quantities, excuse me. She could do that for 1 and 2, but not for the rest. And then the time on task of her 10 minutes of instruction time, she was on task for 4 minutes of that time. So, and the instruction started at 9:20 in the morning. So that just tells me that during that time she was only able to be successful or engaged for 4 minutes. So that's just like the overall summary. After you answer the questions, you can go right into the questions and see the actual responses that are in the question. If you want to view it like that. So it goes through all of it that way. Or then there's the individual. So I'm going to go back to her summary because the summary is the most user-friendly. Once I build this, if I wanted to actually, I could show the preview. So this is what it would look like. Like that, I was in the build section, so I could have made edits in there if I wanted to. Now this is me being in the, this would be the view. Like if I opened this goal, this is what I would first need to do. So I would select that I'm putting in data for labeling numbers. And then I would select next. It's going to take me right to the labeling numbers section of the form. If I wanted to go back and I didn't want to start with that one, if I wanted to start with time on task, it would jump me right to that section of the form. So that's just how I built the sheet, was that it was hyperlinked to match each of the things in basically the table of contents. But if I went here, I would simply click here. I would put in the date that it's happening. So it's going to give me the calendar. I would select whatever date it is that I'm working, and then I would just click yes or no. And then when I'm done, I would submit it, And then it would take me to the next question. It would say, do you want to submit another response? And I could say yes or no. I'm not going to do that because I do intend to use this for her data, so I don't want to mess this one up. But that is how you would use it from the view section. Like that's what it would look like if you were going to use it. The nice thing about this is I don't need to take paper and pencil with me. I can do this on my computer, or even easier, I could do this on an iPad and just simply tap the answers. I could also, this is also another really nice option. I can send this to somebody, so I can send it to them via email, which would give them access. So if I knew that I was going to be gone from school for an extended period of time and I needed, let's say, my classroom associate or another teacher to fill this out, I could just send them the form that day, send it through the email, and they could do it. I could send it, like if I needed to share with the AEA so they could view the data, I could send like the hyperlink so that they could see that. So it just kind of makes it easier to collaborate with others on it. And then just so that we can kind of quickly see, I'll go create one of these really quickly. So this is that he'll be able, I'm going to start an intervention with a little kiddo that he'll be able to name the letters in his first name. And we'll do this over 6 weeks time, but just for the sake of time in this video, I'll just start with January 1st. So I would just say names. And I'm not going to add all of the letters. I'll just add the first letters. Whoops. So see there, I just made a mistake. I can just exit that off and go right back up. And then there's the last one. And then it will let you, so it gives you the different options of what you can do, how you could set it up to score those if you wanted to. And then if I was done, I could add another question up here. So this is in the same section. Then if I was completely done with that, like, so that's all I wanted in section 1. Then I could add a whole new section. So this is where, like, I made the table of contents for the first student. That table of contents would have been up here. And then section 2 would have been where the actual data collection piece started. And then once you build that, you can, and it's probably not going to let me do it because I don't have it built, but once you build each section, you can go back and hyperlink it to the table of contents, which is what I did, so that when you went into the form, it would allow you to, it allows you to go right to that section. So yeah, that is a really cool thing. I'm excited to do this to get all the rest of my data transferred over, my data sheets built and used in the computer, so that hopefully by the first of the year, I can just collect data electronically for all of my IEP students. So that's really exciting. And Google Forms was super simple to use. There's a million tutorials out there on how to do it. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great tool.